Hey there, welcome to episode 59. I'm Russ, I'm the captain of the sailing vessel Tautog, and we're sitting here in beautiful Boot Key Harbor in Marathon, Florida. Enjoy the episode. About 7 a.m. June 13, I think. This is City Marathon. There's our captain. Don't like being up here. Okay, well, we didn't come up here for sightseeing. We came to take a look at this masthead light. So the light behind the plastic cover works, but it draws 3 amps. This one on the bottom was probably a deck light to illuminate the deck for people working below. So what I can't tell from here, because this is high up as I can get, is there a screw in the top to allow me to replace this lamp? And I don't know the answer. So, because if I have to take off the whole damn fitting, I'll need to get somebody to winch me up here. It'd be a bit of work. Shit. Yeah, so the problem is the masthead lights and the stern lights, because each of those was not LED. And they draw so much power that if it's cloudy out, it really makes a difference in my battery consumption. It really does. Overnight, for 13 hours of running, that masthead light alone was sucking me down. So I disconnected the masthead light now, and I'm going to leave it that way for the moment. And the stern light, I'm going to get busy and working on a way to cobble together an LED light, because you can't see the stern light anyhow. Where the dinghy is, if I have the dinghy behind the boat, you can't even see the stern light. But I could not purchase an LED light bulb of that socket size. So I'm going to make something up. That's what I'm going to do. And we'll see what I can figure out. And I'm going to try to change the location. To me, stern light is more important than the masthead light. If I have to choose which one to work on, that's what I'm going with. So, okay, which one was it again, huh? Okay, so this is going to be panel DC2, and DC2 is going to have it's like a distribution junction box for my DC power to miscellaneous things on the port side. It'll support most galley lighting. It'll support things going forward, including a fan in the bedroom and the head, which requires electric fan. So, and this light needs power. All of that's going to come off of DC2. Oh my god. It would be so I ran 10 gauge wire from here, from the main distribution hub. And it's going to be switched as DC2 over there. So over by the nav station, the breaker is going to say DC2, and I can run miscellaneous loads off of it. And I picked 10 gauge because the price difference between 12 and 14 was very, very small. But I thought, maybe I want to run an inverter, but so this is a caution to other people. So if you're going to run an inverter, let's say 300 watts, and you're actually going to run something that draws almost 300 watts, you want that inverter very, very close to the voltage source. You don't want to be running a 15-meter cable like I did to get there and then put the inverter at the customer end. You want to transmit long distances of power at a higher voltage, not a lower voltage. That's a rule. That's why power companies transmit at 500,000 volts or 230,000 volts. You save a lot of, you reduce a lot of the losses if you keep the inverter at the source end. So that's what I'm going to do if I were to put an inverter. But having said all that, maybe I just want to plug in this television from time to time, you know, and if I do that, it only draws like half an amp. So really, it doesn't matter where the inverter is if the power draw is very, very low. So anyway, I put in 10 amps or a 10 gauge cable to allow me flexibility to run any number of loads I want. I could fill that junction box up with little small loads and not worry about overloading my cable. So the breaker at the source end has to be sized for a 10 gauge cable, and that's what it'll be. So that's what I have to say about that. One other thing I did is repair my hydro vane wind vane. I caused damage to it, you'll see in a second here, because it got hit by the wind generator, which didn't work. So I took down the wind generator because it didn't work anyway, and I had to patch the fabric on the wind vane. So that was kind of a dumb thing I did, but... Oh, look at me go on the bicycle. No crashes either. So I took a bike ride up to the road, that's 20th Street, that goes up to the old abandoned Boot Key Bridge. Now that bridge was found to be unrepairable many years ago by the Department of Transportation, and it's never been repaired. And for that reason, there's no development on Boot Key. So it's just a mangrove island, and it's best left that way. I just want to go up here to take a look at the harbor itself. So I'm out there in that picture right now, in fact. So when you're living on a budget, you know, and you're living on a boat out there for free, and you can't afford to pay the marina for 85 bucks a week for dinghy access like I did, then you can dinghy to places like this, and you go ashore and take care of your business. I guess it all works out just fine. And this is under the bridge, going to Boot Key. It's Boot Key out there. So after leaving the Boot Key Bridge, I took a bike ride to a place that I had never been to before. In the 1950s, a couple from Miami purchased property and they built themselves a home out here. And when they passed, they did not sell their house to a developer, and no other person bought their house as a private homeowner, but it became a nature park and a small museum. So, I mean, here's their Sears Roebuck catalog from many, many years ago, where you could buy a watch for $8 and that sort of thing. So it's a museum, and it's a well-preserved nature park, and I really had a great time there. So they even have a little discussion in their park about the railroad and how the Keys got initially developed in the first place. I love the railroad stories. Up in the Isla Morada, the hurricane in 1935 wiped out a train and killed a whole bunch of World War I veterans who were working on the railroad. But so where am I? I'm at the Crane Point Hammock, and the original people who owned this property were named Crane. These little fish are trained to eat dead skin off of your body, and they really like my left heel, so I guess I need to work on that a little more. But it tickles, and I sat there for almost half an hour just letting them go to town. And then it was off. Going back out to the Pigeon Key Bridge, which is the place I probably like the best in Marathon, because I know I'm leaving in a couple of days and I want to get one quick bike ride out there. And then I'm ready to move on. Water is pretty angry. The high tide is flooding in. So imagine that's going in against a strong wind from the north, and it's just rushing in. It gets pretty ugly out here. You can see the eddies. Yeah, so one thing I noted is that, okay, so I noted that I'm aground, at least not at the moment, but I did notice that this boat is riding a little bit high. See, so she's probably, well, now she's moving again. So that boat's twisting, so she's free. But I think some of these guys have actually been aground in the last hour. There's a guy over there who's definitely aground. And it's not a big end of the world thing. This is the lower low tide. Yeah, both of these guys are free now. And I was nudged on the bottom, but I'm free as well now. Yeah, so I'm free as well. I feel myself swinging with the wind again, but when I was doing the hull cleaning, I did notice that I was nudged onto the bottom. We call that softer ground, and it was exactly at the time for the lower low tide, and it happens to be a full moon, so the tides are lower than they normally are. So there's nothing I'm even ashamed about. You know, normally I'd be mortified if I ran my boat aground. But this is a kind of a ground where I'm only going to be aground for about 30 minutes a day, so I can live with that, knowing I'm going to be floating off tomorrow, or in about, well, I'm already floated off, so tomorrow I'll probably repeat, depending which way I'm tending, because the bottom is not flat. And I happen to be, for a moment while I was cleaning the hull, I could see myself above a little furrow in the ground, so I wasn't aground at the moment, but then the wind changed, and I was down there snorkeling, and I could see the boat swinging over to the muck, and I kind of nudged me around, and then I quit swinging with the wind for about 10 minutes there. Technically aground, and I can see some other boats in the area still aground. I was thinking about that just the other day, you know, wondering how deep it was, you know, 20 feet that way, 20 meters that way. Now we find out. Hey there, so thank you for watching the episode. I'm just sitting here getting ready to go ashore. I'll fine-tune the editing and get this uploaded. And then I'm going to go into the city on the bicycle and hit a Cuban restaurant and get a Cuban sandwich, which is really, really good. And I haven't had one for years. And tonight's my last night with the access to the marina shore facilities, so I'm going to take advantage of that tonight. And tomorrow I'm going to be on the move again. And so that brings me to my closing comment, and it has to do with chart work. And I'll show you the chart in a moment here. And it's kind of a question that's been weighing on my mind. What's the best way to go north and east until I get to the east coast of Florida, between Florida and the Bahamas? Well, you might think get out in the Gulf Stream, because if in the Gulf Stream the water is moving about 2 to 2.5 knots in the direction I want to go anyway. It's like kind of a no-brainer, right? But the winds are primarily going to be out of the east and southeast, and if that's the case, the Gulf Stream might be pretty rough. So, I've been through rough Gulf Stream conditions, and I'm not too keen on them, and I don't know if I'll use the word scared, but it was uncomfortable. It was not fun. I did not have any fun at all slamming through that stuff. So I'm thinking about that. The other option, on the flip side of going outside the reef, is to stay inside the reef. So between here and Key Largo, really all the way to Biscayne, there's a channel called Hawk Channel. And Hawk Channel is generally between 10 to 25 feet all the way, and it's marked by U.S. Coast Guard maintained markers, and it should be a no-brainer. You could motor it if you had to, if the winds were flat or whatever. And I'm still thinking, you know, I'd rather be outside the reef so I could sail this non-stop and sleep if I needed to sleep. But if I think the reef conditions are going to be too rough, then I'm not going to do that. And I'll try sailing. I'll wait for a day when I get southeasterly or southerly winds, and I should make it an easy sail right in the channel. But in the Hawk Channel, that's not something you do at night. That's not something you do, you know, 24/7, you know, catching catnaps. You pretty much stay awake, and when you're sleepy, you drop an anchor and you sleep. Because it's you know, you sleep for 5 minutes and you're aground. You know, it can be that fast. You know, there's not a lot of space. So that's what's kind of weighing on my mind right now. What's the best way to kind of round that corner of Florida? So Florida it's a peninsula, and I'm down here. I need to round that corner and come up. But once I get off of Fort Lauderdale, at least it's much more straightforward. There's only one choice. You know, you can go inside the Intracoastal, or you can go out in the ocean. And Intracoastal is only 100 meters wide, if that, and it's really tight. So I'm not going to do that. So I'll be definitely sailing offshore when I get past Miami. So right now I'm just thinking and studying the charts and looking at all the different places I could go if I was unable to continue, and most of that right now involves having a large number of good anchorages prepped between here and Biscayne, so I know all the places I might stop. So that's what I'm going to do. Just take a look at the chart and then we'll sign off. Bye. It really is so much easier to use a chart plotter to show you this. So the objective is to make it to Fort Pierce. There's another place called Stewart in Port St. Lucie up in here, which is just maybe 15 miles south of Fort Pierce. But the objective at the high level is to get to the mid-east coast of Florida, starting from my location down here. So I just wanted to show you real fast okay, so I think you should be able to see this on your screen. So this is the Hawk Channel. This is the island, this is the reef, and this is a Hawk Channel in between, and this is Marathon. So my current location is right here. I might go to a place called Bahia Honda, which is over here, and that would be fine, but it doesn't, and I could stay a few days if I like, or I can stay right where I'm at for a few days, or I can do whatever I want. But either way, whether I leave from here or leave from here, the question is, what's the best way to run north? If you stay in the channel, in the Hawk Channel, you're looking at 11 meters, 8 meters, 6 meters, pretty good water. And if it was like this all the way up, it would be an easy decision. You just stay in the Hawk Channel, baby, and then maybe go 20 miles and then call it a day. Maybe 30 miles is all I'm going to make in a day. It depends on sailing conditions. But the point I'd like to make is that as you proceed further north, this is the Isla Morada area. It gets a little more dodgy. This is Key Largo there. This is Rodriguez Key. This is Tavernier Key. Two places I have anchorages already pre-planned. But that's a good 50 miles away from me. So I need to find an anchorage about halfway in between. And then when you leave Key Largo, what do? You know, you have to be on your toes, baby, to make this transit, because it gets nothing but more and more cluttered. So when you get between Key Largo and Elliott Key and then Biscayne and Key Biscayne, this water is down to 3-4 meters deep, and you have to stay in this channel. You can't drift. You know, you can't just set your auto steering machine and just let it drive you around. It's got me nervous. I'll tell you that, okay? So I think as soon as I got to Biscayne Park, this is where I would hang a right, and I would get the hell out of Hawk Channel at that point, because at that point we'd be running almost straight north. If the winds are out of the southeast, that would be easy sailing, and then I would get about 10 miles out and run north, and I could go all the way to Jacksonville direct if I wanted, you know. So that's what's on my mind. So we'll think about that, and I'll update you and let you know what I do.